What's up, everybody? I'm gonna move my camera and my mic. As you notice, I'm not in the studio. Not in the stude. It's short for studio. It's not short for studio. It's not. Yeah. When I went to camp last week, the basement flooded, which I live in, and that's where the studio's in. So the last couple of videos that I was in the studio, I was there, but also probably risking my life because there is mold and all that stuff in the studio. So I risked my life for you guys for a Toy Story review, a Disclosure Day review, and probably going to keep risking my life because my parents are actually out of town on vacation. I'm here watching my dogs, and it's in a severe weather watch. It's storming pretty bad. So I got the other dog. He's laying behind the couch because he's scared because he's a good boy. And then I got the girl, Lizzie, right there. She's sleeping away. But I'm here. Don't worry. Your boy's here on... I tried setting it down. Look how smashed in the water bottle is. On a Sunday night, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Yeah. Also, supposed to go get blizzards for me, my grandpa. Hello? Hello? Tearmaker is just trying to sell me a car. What the heck? There it goes. I'm right next to the fireplace. You're for sure hear the rain pitter patter. But also supposed to go get blizzards for my grandpa for Father's Day. What is happening? I don't want to shop for a car, Tearmaker. Oh my gosh. We're ranking the Pixar movies today because Toy Story 5 came out a couple years ago and Inside Out 2 came out. I tier ranked them all on my old channel. Today, we're going to do it again. I didn't rewatch any of them since 2024. Well, I rewatched a few, like I did my annual rewatch of Toy Story every year, and then I think I rewatched, Monsters Inc. as well. But I haven't rewatched a whole. Stop. Can you guys hear that? Or like I wonder if you guys can hear that. Or like a couple years ago when Inside Out 2 came out, I tier ranked them all, watching Toy Story every year, and then I think I rewatched Monsters Inc. as well. But I haven't rewatched a whole. So you guys can't hear that. You can't hear the ad. But every time I open up Tearmaker, it starts saying, "Want to buy a used car?" And I'm like, no, I don't want to buy a used car. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I rewatched a few of them. Haven't rewatched most of them since 2024. But there's also going to be a Toy Story ranking coming in the next few days. It's supposed to be today. Kind of wanted to watch a movie during the day, so I kind of didn't film it, but I will be filming it tomorrow. Or actually probably tonight once we're done with this tier list. Let me show you guys the tier. Boop, boop, ba-doo, boo, ba-doo, boo. Zach D. Film's getting a little tired. We got Goated. Let's do... What's a charming thing for great? I'm trying to think of like funny puns. I'm just going to do the traditional. I'm not creative enough for that. We're going to have here the tiers. We have goated, great, good, meh, bad, absolute, garbage. Let's can I put an emphasis on the A? Nope, that's a capital. Yeah, absolute garbage. I guess that's good enough. All right, I love Pixar. Best animation studio out there by far.
Next car.
No. See, it's this ad right here that keeps telling me to buy a car, and I don't want to buy a freaking car. We got 31 movies to rank. Let's do it. Quick drink of water for good measure. And let's do it. Inside Out. Inside Out for me is not one of my favorites. In fact, I highly prefer its sequel over it. But it doesn't mean I don't think that it is very good. It definitely is the most emotional film inside of all of Pixar. I think so. Get it? Emotional film. It's inside the body of a little girl. Pause. Oh my gosh. What am I doing? I'm off to a hot start here, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Pixar tier list. You're inside the mind of a little girl as she goes through childhood dealing with sadness, depression, joy, anger, disgust. All of the emotions are here. And, you know, it can be a very emotional film, whether you're talking about the death of Bong Bong, I think is what they call him in the movie, which is just the saddest death in all of Pixar because of what it kind of stands for, losing a little bit of your childhood, letting it, your imagination start to grow up. Very emotional. Whether it's the stuff with sadness and about depression that really works, really emotional. And it's pretty much impossible for me not to cry every time I watch this movie. However, I don't think the pacing of it all is necessarily all that. It definitely moves a lot a lot slower in a lot of cases than what I would like. And when a movie moves as slow as this one does at times, what is happening? When a movie moves that slow at times, it starts to wane my interest a little bit. And I definitely connected more with the story of Inside Out 2 more than I did the first one. That doesn't stop Inside Out from being one of the most emotional Pixar films. And already off to a hot start, it goes in the great tier. Even though a lot of people, I imagine, would put it up in goated, I just gotta keep it down in the great tier. Should have got an energy drink. I only drank half of one today because I had half of one from last night. Stupid. Should have went to the gas station before we started. Hoppers. Hoppers hasn't really grown on me all that well, if I'm being completely honest. A lot of people love this movie. I'm just not one of it. Now, I'm just not one of it. I'm just not one of the people that love the movie. So when it can be emotional, it is very emotional. Definitely makes me tear up at certain points. Like the beginning when they are in the wilderness and her relationship to her grandmother. And then obviously the more it goes on, the passing of her grandmother and the emotions that it inherits there is very effective. Definitely gave a tear in my eye within the first 13 minutes of this movie. I was crying just a little bit, just a teensy weeny bit. But also, the longer the movie goes on, her connection to nature and what it stands for, I thought was really moving. And the movie does get a little crazy in the back half. It was really cool to see that giant shark and what they do there. And it's almost turns into a body horror movie at times. And then you got Dave Franco voicing a drunk maniac. And it's just genuinely some of the most hilarious stuff in any Pixar movie. Movie's also a little bit exhausting, if I might add. It definitely moves at a breakneck pace. It's so fast. We never really let anything marinate. And then by the time we get to the back half of the movie, it kind of starts to push boundaries. It's trying to do too many things to kind of be this wild and crazy movie. And it doesn't really work all that well for me. So Hoppers, I thought was fine. It's a fine one-time watch. I don't think it'll ever be the Pixar movie that I ever turn on and revisit. So I'm going to have to put Hoppers in the meh tier. Let's look at Letterboxd. My official ranking for The Boxed, or pretty much for all the Pixar movies on The Boxed. Pixar, I believe it's it's really near the bottom on that. You can follow me on Letterboxd, Zach D Films YT. Do it, please. I log every movie I watch. I spend so much time, and nobody ever comments or likes or really reads them, except maybe one person. Shout out you, awesome man. Cars 2 gets too much hate. It is not absolute garbage. It's not even bad. I don't even think it's meh. We're going to go in good tier for Cars 2. Okay? Sue me. I don't love this movie. I have one heck of a good time with it every time I check it out. It is just so dumb and goofy. You got Mater being a super spy, and it's got all these memorable lines and memorable clips. Maybe the story's not all that memorable, but still, the sequences are definitely memorable and do definitely work for me. And it can be quite funny at times. It can be quite heartfelt at times as well. And I never fully understood why people hated it. No, is it not? Is it a racing movie like the other two? No. But I like the uniqueness and kind of goofy format of this movie. Now, the story's not that memorable. It does push it too much with some of the comedy, just being like a goofy movie. If I want to watch like a genuine good movie with decent emotions, I'd obviously turn to the first Cars movie, or even Cars 3, which I think does it a little bit better. It is the weakest Cars movie, but it's one of the Pixar movies that gets the most hate. It goes in the good tier. And then we got, this is number 2. Oh boy, it's getting hot in here. It's a hot take. I think Incredibles 2 is great. And let's actually talk about both the Incredibles movies real quick. They are both going on the great tier. However, I think The Incredibles 2 is better than the first Incredibles. Okay, there's my hot take for the night. The Incredibles 2 is better. That's also, there's going to be a lot more hot takes here on my Pixar tier list. The Incredibles, like I said, is a great movie. It's a superhero movie with complex characters, a complex story. And I think growing up, watching it, I never quite understood the story. Like, it feels like it was more primed for an older audience, honestly, than a younger audience, like a lot of these movies are for. Or not really necessarily for a younger audience, but a lot of these movies can work for a younger audience and an older audience. And I don't think the first Incredibles fully nails the mixture there. It feels like a movie for teens. And in my teens is when I fully started to really appreciate this movie and what it does. I think the story has many layers that do work. It's got a fantastic villain in Syndrome. I do think at times it does a bit much for me, but overall, it is a very good movie. It's got very good themes. Characters are really good inside of this movie, and like some of the most iconic moments in any film ever. But I think The Incredibles 2 has a beat. Okay, there you go. I think The Incredibles 2 is a phenomenal film. I do this every time. I'll tell you what. I'll be right back. We are going to watch one of my videos. Nobody's watching live right now, so you know what? Let's do it. Because I got to run to the restroom real quick, and it's like as unprofessional of me as it is to say. I am going to run to the restroom, and I will be right back. Weekend, a brand new film in the Toy Story franchise, which is now the highest rated animated franchise of all time on Rotten Tomatoes, has released into theaters. Here's my review of Toy Story 5. Before I dive in, if you would subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Comment down below. Most important part, what did you think of Toy Story 5? If you have seen it, if you have not seen it, are you excited to check it out? And with that said, Toy Story 5 is all right. It's good. I liked it enough. Now, comparing this to Toy Story 1, 2, even 2, even though I'm not the biggest fan of 2, 3, even 4, it's definitely the worst, in my opinion, of all the Toy Story movies. But that doesn't mean I didn't have a good enough time with this movie. As always, it's really fun to just see these characters and hang out with these characters. I love Woody. I love Buzz. Jessie, one of the most underrated characters, is at the forefront of this movie, which I did enjoy because I just really like her character, and I thought she was a ton of fun inside of this movie and has some emotional moments. We'll talk about that later in the back half. But you got her, you got all the side characters, all the other toys that's really fun to hang out with. Bonnie, I think, is just a really, let me say it this way. What they did with her character in this movie, I thought was really effective for what the movie wanted to do. You look at Inside Out 2, that's a movie about a young girl trying to fit in, peer pressure with anxiety and all those emotions. This movie's kind of a lot like that when you get to the plot line with Bonnie. And I just think that she had a really good character arc inside of this movie and just fun to hang out with her. I just love this world. I love the characters. There's all these, but the Buzz Army, really fun inside this movie. So it's just fun to hang out with all of these characters with a movie that has just some stunning, fantastic animation. It's Pixar. The animation's obviously going to be good. And whether it's the playtime sequences that are just kind of like this water art, really colorful, vibrant sequences, or whether it's just the animation in general, it's all really, really good, just as it is in pretty much any Pixar movie or any movie in the Toy Story franchise. And this one has a more distinct flair than some of the other movies in this franchise because of those playtime sequences that are just way more colorful than a lot of other sequences inside of this franchise or really in all of Pixar. This movie is really emotional. And that's, I think, the one hook. That's the thing that hooks you is the emotions in this movie. Is that from the early reactions, a lot of the reviews say there is a sequence in this movie that has made people bawl their eyes out. And while I wasn't at the part of bawling my eyes out, and maybe if I revisit this movie at another phase in life, I will be at the part where I, am impacted very differently on an emotional level than I was here. But that doesn't mean I didn't find it emotional at all. I still think it's very emotional and really effective. That one sequence, everything with Jessie. The theme about the movie, there's actually a lot of themes. Some of the themes are about being like useful or kind of finding your purpose, I would say, not being kind of self-doubt and dealing with self-doubt, somehow a little bit of depression mixed in there, I would say. And that's just what happens with Jessie's character. That's the themes and the emotions that happen with Jessie's character. But then you get to the themes and emotions that happen with something like Bonnie's character, and it deals with stuff like peer pressure and anxiety in a way and just being bullied. And on an emotional level, while that didn't really hit me as hard, it will hit a lot of kids that hard. And that is what I mean when, it hits all these different angles emotionally, that you have this stuff that will hit different parents emotionally, hit teenagers emotionally, or just hit kids emotionally in general. It's Pixar. It's a movie made for all audiences, and all of the emotions, I think, are really effective, and they don't feel forced inside of this movie. The movie's also quite funny. I had a pretty good time watching this movie because it's just able to constantly give you a funny joke, a line to chuckle out, something that is genuinely laugh out loud funny. There are certain characters that only say like 2 or 3 lines throughout the movie, and we'll talk about that in the negative section, but certain characters like Forky, every time he opened his mouth, which is not a lot, unfortunately, but every time he opened his mouth, just a laugh out loud line. And so I think it was pretty funny. And there was never really a time I was bored. I was never bored while watching the movie. I never thought like, oh, just get over already. It's a fun adventure that hits the emotions, has great animation, and was fun to hang out with these characters again. With that said, it is by far and away the worst film in this franchise and has kind of lost a little bit of the Toy Story magic. Let's just start with this. It feels like a Disney Plus movie at times. And I mean that not as in saying the whole movie feels like that, because there are definitely times where it's a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen. But even the way it's paced, the script, it feels like something I would watch on Disney Plus. And in this day and age where streaming is just so prominent in really anything, especially Disney, with all the content they put out, there has been so many movies that I see in theaters and I say, maybe I would have liked that a little more on Disney Plus. Just a few off the top of my head. Captain America, Brave New World. Mandalorian and Grogu, one very recently that absolutely was terrible. And now Toy Story 5 is, I believe, at certain times, I feel like I would have liked it a little bit more if I watched it on Disney Plus. Because you watch this movie, and then you go back and you watch Toy Story 1, 2, 3, 4. Those movies feel bigger. They feel like more of an event. And just the way this movie's even paced, it feels like one of those little short adventures. Like, you know, the Halloween adventure about Jesse being claustrophobic and dealing with that fear. I don't remember what it's called, but just a little 20-minute thing that premiered on Disney Channel on cable. Kind of feels like that at times. Now, again, the longer we go on into the movie, especially once we get into the emotions, maybe even the back half, it feels more like a theatrically released movie and feels like it's something we should have seen on the big screen. But there are a lot of times that I was like, would I have liked it better to watch it on Disney Plus? And that's when we get into the issue of this does not have a very good script. I'm not going to say the script's bad or anything, because when it wants to hit those emotional levels, those comedic levels, the fun stuff with the characters, it hits. Like the bullying stuff and how it all rounds out in the end, it works. It's effective for me. A lot of things work with this script. But when it comes to handling the characters, it does a very bad job. Woody shouldn't have even been in this movie. I'm just going to come out and say it. This movie is the exact same, minus maybe a 30-second sequence where him and Buzz have this rivalry that we see in the trailers that's just there for 30 seconds and then gone. I kid you not. That's what happens in this movie. Is it's like, oh, you don't think I can do this, and then the very next sequence they're in, they're complete best friends still. Yeah, like Woody. That's the only thing Woody contributed to this movie besides he's got a bald head and a beer belly, which was quite funny, especially the way that Forky handled it. But still, it did like he didn't need to be in the movie. Buzz is like, I liked his plot line. He's not as sidelined as I heard, but he's not the main character. That's okay, because Jessie's the main character, and she's at the forefront. And a lot of the new characters that we got introduced really worked. Like, there's this one device that's like a potty trainer thing, and, you know, I'm not a guy for potty humor, but thought he was actually quite hilarious. And it definitely helps that he is voiced by Conan O'Brien. So that definitely helps. He was genuinely funny in the movie, but the new characters I liked, but some of our older characters didn't have anything to do. Slinky, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, the aliens, they didn't have anything but maybe one line each. Rex, nothing to do. Ham, they did nothing throughout this entire movie. The characters that you actually love, that you know, did nothing. The newer characters from, you know, the Bonnie age, you got the Trixie and the Mr. Pricklepants, and then the Dolly with glasses, or Forky has a wife in this movie now, and it's just like, I don't think she has a single line throughout this entire movie. All of our main characters are completely sidelined for Jessie and the new characters, which, like, I'm not complaining, because the stuff with Jessie and the new characters I really enjoyed. But what's the point of bringing Woody back and undoing the ending of Toy Story 4 if you're not going to do anything with that character? Like, I was insanely skeptical going into this movie, because it's like, why do Toy Story 4 when a lot of people think that you had the perfect ending in Toy Story 3, and then, like, it closes out Woody's arc, and then just bring him back for this movie? And it did not win me over with the thought and the execution of why he's returned. So, way too many characters, not a lot of them utilized at all, and I'm going to blame the script for that. And I will say, Toy Story 5 has lost a bit of the magic. I felt something watching Toy Story 4. Not when I first watched it, because I was, I think, 12 at the time, and I'll talk more about that in my Toy Story ranking coming in a few days. But I felt something during the rewatch. Toy Story 1, even 2 and 3, I felt something. Watching this movie, I was like, oh, that's a fun adventure. during one or two sequences, I'm like, oh, that's really heartfelt. That really works. I genuinely don't. The heck? There we go. My fault. Yeah, my fault. I kind of had to run to the restroom real quick, so I suppose you probably skip forward if you're watching in the past. Real quick, I went to Twitter and I found the HD leak of Avengers Doomsday. I'm not going to show it to you guys. Also, is some of this AI or not? This is very clearly AI, right? Right? I can't tell. Yeah, that one looks AI, right? That one looks really AI. Okay, but I saw the real leak of the real trailer, and it looks great. Anyways, we are really behind. My fault, everybody. Let's get back on track with the Pixar tier list. Anyways, I talked about the first Incredibles. I think the Incredibles 2 is a little bit better, honestly. If not, I'm going to throw this out here, a lot better. I really, really like the Incredibles 2. I think it's great. I think the story honestly works more for me about kind of, obviously superheroes aren't allowed in this world. And so kind of about starting that revolution to get superheroes to be allowed, focusing on Elastigirl, who I think is really compelling in this movie, getting all these different superheroes and characters that I actually think are really cool and interesting. And I know a lot of people like to hate on them, but I think they are really cool. And in the back half of the movie, they have some really cool sequences. There's also some great sequences in this movie. Frozone does a lot in the back half of the movie. That is great. The family, Mr. Incredible, the kids do a lot in the back half of the movie that is just really cool. And I think the twist villain here is actually really good. And I know a lot of people love to hate on it. I think the twist villain in The Incredibles 2 is fantastic, and I did not see it coming at all, at least when I was a kid when this movie came out. So I think that The Incredibles 2 is really effective with its story, which I feel, honestly, the movie's also kind of paced better than the first movie. And if you ask me to turn on an Incredibles movie, 9 times out of 10, I am going to choose The Incredibles 2 over The Incredibles, even though I think they are both obviously great movies in the great tier. But that is just why I prefer The Incredibles 2 over The Incredibles. Let's go ahead and do Toy Story 5, because while I was in the bathroom, I kind of played it, the video. And so I'm not going to rush over it or anything, but still. Toy Story 5, the reason I am doing this tier list, the newest Pixar film, is I'm going to put it at the end of the good tier. I'm going to put it at the end of the good tier. I don't think it belongs in meh, because meh is like, it was all right. And while I walked out of the theater from Toy Story 5 saying, yeah, it's all right, honestly, I'm going to put it in the good tier. There are moments in this movie I really love. Obviously, the emotions are really, really, really good in this movie. As we enter the back half of the film with Jesse. Now, I was talking to a lot of people because at church this morning, a lot of people I know. I mean, I went into church with a church group to see this movie. So obviously, I was talking with them, but other people that have seen this movie, including my pastor. And I was talking to him about it, and I'm like, or he said that he thinks it worked more for him because he's an adult and the emotions did that. And for parents, honestly, as we enter the back half of the movie, the stuff with Jesse and Emily, I believe, that is really emotional stuff. And while it's not enough to make me cry, if you're a parent, I think it will, because it's just like one of those emotional scenes that works and makes sense and kind of rounds out Jesse's character arc. And there's also many other emotional sequences as well that work for the younger generation. It's about Bonnie and peer pressure and getting bullied. And that is a very deep theme and a very emotional theme that is explored in this movie. So the emotions really work. The dog is now barking. Okay. The emotions. Will you stop? The animation. The animation, phenomenal. There are several sequences. Stop! Shh. Rufus! Shh. What do you want? Be quiet. Dog. The animation, the playtime sequences have this nice, vibrant flair to it that I think really works. And when you're not in the playtime sequences, it also is a very beautiful film to look at. I like seeing these characters together. I think the movie can be quite funny. However, it is the weakest Toy Story film by far for me, because I just feel like the script works for the emotions, but the pace of story, it didn't really work for me. There are definitely some pacing problems. It moves a little too slow at times. It goes a little too quick at times as well. That kind of rushes over some things that could be even more emotional than they already were, or some things that you kind of need to pick it up, and I was starting to get a little bored at times. And the inclusion of all these characters just does not work at all for me, where you have so many characters that iconic characters like Mr. Potato Head or Porky or Slinky the dog or even Forky, they get maybe 2 or 3 lines each throughout the entire movie. Woody should not have been in this movie. It would be the exact same without him. Woody, I'm glitching. I am really glitching. Okay. I am really glitching. Okay, I'm not glitching no more. All right, we good. Movie exact same without Woody, because what does he do in this movie? Nothing. He doesn't contribute to the plot. He doesn't have an arc besides he has a bald head and a beer belly. Nothing. He does nothing. There's no point for him to be in this movie, and so the inclusion of all these characters just does not work. While I think a lot of the newer characters did work for me, like the potty toy voiced by Conan O'Brien, I thought was quite hilarious. So plenty of issues I had with Toy Story 5. I also liked quite a few things. I also think it is the weakest Toy Story film by far. Cars 3. This one's difficult for me because I'm going to put it at the top of good tier for now. I don't think it's great or anything. There are a lot of things in this movie I like. There are also a lot of things that are just incredibly disappointing with this movie. Because if you remember, when this movie came out in 2017, it was a film that was marketed on the downfall of Lightning McQueen. You see in the trailers, McQueen crashed. Like, his career's over. Devastating. And it does that for like 10 seconds in the movie, and then it just does the same old car stuff. So I always remember being a little bit disappointed watching this movie, knowing that you could have done so much more. It's still a fun enough adventure in the Cars universe, right? I like this character of Lightning McQueen. I like many of the sequences that we do, like when you're at I don't know what it's called, but the junkyard sequence when they're just driving around from the massive school buses and stuff. That's a really fun sequence. Our supporting girl in the movie. Cars 3 characters. What's her name? I'm getting a phone call, but I'll talk to her later. Cristela Alonso, is that who it is? What is she? Oh, Cruz Ramirez. Is she the one takes over for? Yeah, Cruz Ramirez. That's her name. I did like Cruz Ramirez, and like her arc at the end of the movie when she takes over for Lightning gets too much hate. It is a good arc, and I do think works. But again, it's the type of movie that you could feel could be so much more, and you just watch it, and it's like, yeah, it's a fun Pixar movie that has some good sequences, but it could have been so much more to round out this trilogy. So it goes right in the good tier. Toy Story 4 turns 7 years today. Happy birthday, Toy Story 4. You were a great movie. I'll figure out where I want to put it here once I'm done talking about it. Now, does it measure up to Toy Story 1 or 3? No. Do I think it's better than 2? Yes. And I just pretty much spoiled the entire Toy Story ranking, but still, watch the video. I need the views. But I really enjoy a lot of things that this movie does. I think the adventure and overall the relationship that Woody has with Forky is really effective, and like kind of has the emotions and the themes about like making new friends that I thought was really effective on what was the point of Forky's character. Now, again, I was talking to some people at church this morning, and they're like, hey, I hate Forky. And I'm like, I think he's funny. I think he's funny, and I think he does good things inside of this movie. I also think the adventure and mainly the villains of this movie are actually really cool. Look at this. Look at this, dude. Look at this. Toy Story for villains. Look at this, man. Like, how can you watch this movie and not say the Bentons are incredibly creepy? And then even Gabby, I think, is genuinely kind of creepy and also incorporates some horror elements that I'm like, that actually really works. And I think maybe the execution of it isn't done in the best possible way, but how Woody's character arc ends at the end of the movie with him going off to find lost toys is really effective. And I think even though it's not executed in the best way, it still really works and is the perfect closure to Woody's story. Again, that's why it makes it so frustrating that he was in Toy Story 5, because you didn't need Woody. You didn't need him. Maybe a cameo, but you didn't need him to be the full focus of the story, because I think his ending here is actually perfect. So, yeah, plenty of things I loved about this movie. However, it's not as fun. It's not as watchable as, you know, Toy Story 1 or 3, or have those deep, complex emotions that those movies did that made me say, oh yeah, that's top tier Pixar. Instead, it's great. I also think the animation in this movie is easily the best of this entire franchise. So, Toy Story 4, great movie. I'm more stuck on if I like it more or less than The Incredibles. I'm going to put it in front of Inside Out, behind The Incredibles for now. That's just kind of how I'm feeling. Finding Nemo is our first entry into the GOATed category. No, I think I'm going to put Finding Nemo down into the great category. Not that I have any issues with it, but it was never really the one that I wanted to rewatch on loop as a kid. Not like Monsters, Inc. or the first Toy Story, or even things like Cars. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. I had a major brain fart. And Finding Nemo still goes in easily in the top of the great category. It is a great movie. It focuses on letting go and or pretty much parenthood. I'm not a parent, so it doesn't hit me that deep on an emotional level, but I'm sure like in the future, if and probably when I do eventually become a parent, probably in the far, far future, but still, it'll probably hit me more on that emotional level. I just think it's a fun story. I like Marlon. I love Dory, even though I'm not a big fan of Ellen DeGeneres. I think that she is pretty funny in this movie. There is some creepy sequences. The brace face girl, Finding Nemo. I'm not going to show you guys. I just want to look at her. Oh my gosh, Darla. Oh, I'm getting PTSD sitting here looking at Darla. Oh my gosh. She sucks. I hate Darla. But she also serves as kind of like, not a villain, but like something that, like, from perspective of a fish is kind of creepy. And it's just got a lively group of characters, a fun adventure, animation really good. So it's a great movie. It's just never like the one, like, I'm trying to find ways to knock it down. It just, personally, in my soul, I just don't feel like I could put it up in goated. It feels like I'm trying to force something into goated instead. Still a great movie. Doesn't really have any flaws. It just doesn't hit the goated level for me. And then we got Up. Well, I'll talk about it and then I'll put it in a tier. Up is really good. Naturally, the thing that most people talk about is those first 10 to 15 minutes. That is just the most emotional thing Pixar has ever done. And it is some of the most effective emotions I have seen in any film ever. It tells a story of life in 10 minutes. And it is just so effective. It has love, heartbreak, devastation, joy, all captured in a 10-minute sequence. And if that was the movie, if that was it, 10 minutes, this would be peak. Like, as a short film, it would be peak. I'm not going to say it's peak because, I mean, the rest of the movie doesn't hit that level. I still think it's a fun adventure. I love the relationship between our two characters and even like the dog and I think the dodo bird is what it's called in the movie. It's all charming. I like the twist. The twist villain here is really effective for me. It's got good animation. It's just a fun adventure story, kind of in the veins of Indiana Jones in a way. But a lot of people call it a disappointment because it never hits the same level that the first 10 minutes did in the film. And so, like, that's why a lot of people don't absolutely adore this movie. The thing that gets talked about is those 10 minutes. I still think it's great. I'm still putting it in great. I'll probably put it right here. I'll put it a little bit behind Inside Out 2. Or above Inside Out and behind Toy Story 4. Then we got Onward, and this is officially our first entry in GOATed. And no, I'm not joking. What does Onward have on RT? I'm curious. Okay, it's got 88. It's got 88. But it's one of the lower rated Pixar films on Rotten Tomatoes. Not for me. And you'll see the longer we go into this tier ranking that a lot of these movies, for me anyways, just work because of the stages of life that I'm in while watching them. This one, the adventure might not be as fun as other ones. It's still very fun. Still got a really good voice cast in Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. But the adventure, maybe it's not the most watchable one. But when you get to the back half, and it's about loss, like, my father's still around. Like, obviously. Like, I love my dad. He's still here. He's awesome. But, it's not like that's not the stuff that hurts me. The stuff that gets me in my feels is the emotions with brotherhood. I'm an older brother. I relate heavily. Rufus, quit licking the couch. Quit licking the couch. Goofy goober, I love you. Quit licking the couch. Where was I at? Oh yeah. As an older brother, I related heavily every time I watched this movie, the relationship, and it never fails to make me bawl my freaking eyes out. I sob every time I watch this movie because of the deep emotions that it's able to hit in the back half with brotherhood and like specifics like Tom Holland's character telling him, you know, like, he's a loser, or it's been a year or two since I watched this movie, but you know, that one sequence where they kind of get into a fight, that hit me deep to my core, and the result of that hit me even deeper. And it's just like, it's one of those Pixar movies that like just makes me sob, but besides that, like, it's still really good. It's still a lot of fun. It doesn't hit the highs of a lot of other Pixar movies, but still, the emotions, this is the most emotional I've ever been during a Pixar movie. And it's crazy for one that I don't hear a lot of people talk about as much. Onward is fantastic, especially with the emotions. I love Onward. I love Onward. And despite maybe some of the other adventures in all of Pixar being a lot more watchable, the emotions still just make it into that goated tier every time. Then we got Soul. I've seen it once when it first released in 2020. I was like 13, 14 when it released. I'm going to go meh. I'll probably put it behind. No, I'm going to put it in. Dude, I'm going to put it in front of Hoppers. I'm going to be for real. I don't remember much about this movie. I saw it once, thought it had a lot of cool ideas, cool themes, cool emotions. I do remember, like, the thing that sticks in my head is the back half of the movie just kind of loses me a little bit with, like, the finale. Again, like, maybe it just didn't hit me at that time of life. Maybe 6 years later, I could sit back and re-watch it and try to get something more out of it. But I don't know. I don't really have much to say because I've seen it once. I was never really called to watch it again. So it's just going to be in the meh tier. That's like the only movie on this list that I don't remember much about. Take a drink and then we'll talk about Luca. Luca is great, and I'll figure out where I want to put it here because we got a lot of movies in the great tier. This is a movie that I think is the most underrated Pixar movie out there. Actually, I lied. Onward's the most underrated, but Luca's one of them. That every time I click on it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a fun adventure with two friends doing their thing. Should be fun enough, right? And I just forget how good this movie really is. You'll love the relationship between our two, pretty much actually our three leads. You just love that relationship there. The animation is gorgeous. It manages to be genuinely funny throughout the entire film. If you watch any of these Pixar movies, it's the one with like the most insignificant story. Like there's sea monsters trying to win a bicycle race. And it's just gets heavy with the themes in the end. Again, like about friendship that still hit me on an emotional level and makes me tear up every time I watch it. Obviously, like you got the stuff with the sea monsters and belonging and all of those intricate emotions. But at its core, the movie's about friendship. And again, it does its Pixar magic and it is very good with its themes. And it's just really fun to watch. I think it's like, what? 90 minutes? Yeah, 95 minutes. So, like, it's one of the shortest ones, and it's just one that I see myself putting on quite often. And, you know, I just always expect to have a good time, and I end up, like, with tears in my eyes, like, that was beautiful. So, I really like Luca. I think it's great. I think it's better. I'm good with Luca here on the great tier. Then we got Turning Red. It's going to go in the top of the good tier because I get that a lot of people have their flaws with this movie. I get like a lot of people, especially males my age, are like, hey, it's about periods and it's about women. Yeah, it's got those themes in there, but, and here's a big but. What? Lock in. It's a big but. That this movie is at its core about a daughter's relationship with her mother. And as someone growing up throughout my whole life, and especially when this movie released in 2021, 5 years ago, I had the exact same relationship with my mother. And so it's one of those movies that hits me on that emotional level at least 5 years ago. Now, I never revisited this movie. It's one that I have a feeling like at this point in my life, I might not be affected by it as much, which is why I originally had it in the great tier. I knocked it down to the good tier. However, it's still a movie that was effective at that time. I also think the ending of the movie is quite emotional as well. At least it was 5 years ago, and I think it's very effective. I think the animation is really good in this movie. Of course, the stuff about puberty and growing into womanhood doesn't really work for me because I'm a man. I grew up with hair on my balls. That's a lie. But like that stuff didn't really work for me. But at the core, it's about a girl's relationship with her mother. So that's what I thought was really effective, and that's why it goes in the good tier. Top of good tier. Okay. All right, we're getting to the hot takes. It's spicy in here. It's spicy in here. Yeah, WALL-E is mid. Kill me. So sue me. WALL-E is mid. Again, it's going at the top of the mid tier. Like, it's not bad by any means. I think the first half of this movie, when you're on this planet, you're meeting Eve, you're doing all that stuff, when it's essentially a silent film, all of that's really effective. It's when we enter the back half and we get on the spaceship with all the fat people that really loses me. And it's just because it tries to do too much. It has too many ideas. It turns into more of like a traditional movie, I'd say. Like, you got a villain, you got a goal. Instead, I just kind of enjoyed being on this planet with WALL-E and Eve, kind of like a robot romance in a not really apocalyptic, but a very far future. I thought that was the best part of this movie, and it definitely loses me once we enter the back half of the film. So, WALL-E's mid. It's mid. Toy Story 3 is the complete opposite of mid, by the way. It's goated. This one's a hard one if I want to put it in front of Onward or not, because I think Toy Story 3, the adventure is more fun. It does have good emotions, but Onward, like, I cried a few times during Toy Story 3, but after, like, watching it 10 times, I know exactly what's going to happen. Still hits me on an emotional level, but doesn't, like, devastate me like Onward does. I do think it's better than Onward. However, I'm going to put it in front of Onward. Toy Story 3 is great. Obviously, it kind of rounds out this trilogy. And while a lot of people say, oh, well, Toy Story shouldn't this be on a trilogy of films, I somewhat think they should have stopped at 4, especially after 5 starts to lose the Toy Story magic for me. But, I mean, you know, we still got those movies. But if you just want to take it as a trilogy, take it as a trilogy. I never got why, like, people, they should have just stopped making them. It makes them money, man. They're not going to stop making them. If you don't want to watch the new ones, don't watch the new ones. They don't got to ruin the trilogy for you. But anyways, I got sidetracked there. This movie's great. It's iconic. It is nostalgic for me. I watched this one probably more than I did Toy Story 1 back in the day. I've watched Toy Story 1 probably 1,000 times now, so it's not true anymore. But it was back in the day. Stuff at the daycare is awesome. Lotso, again, kind of the twist villain. Even though you can kind of tell he was going to be the villain throughout the movie, he does still kind of act like a twist villain. He's very good. I recently, I intern at church, and so I was hanging out with the pastor and his wife, and I was talking to his wife, and she's like, you know, he actually smells like strawberries at Disneyland or Disney World. I don't remember which one they're going to, but they're going to Disneyland or Disney World. And she told me that he smells like strawberries in real life. And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. Anyway, sidetracked. Lotso's a phenomenal villain, right? Very good. Even like as you enter the end of the movie, and that like you kind of get that false sense of teaming up, and then he kind of betrays him again at the back half of the film. Speaking of Pixar, hello. Speaking of the finale, it's phenomenal. You genuinely believe at times that these toys are going to get killed. And while I was in the bathroom just a little bit ago, I was scrolling on Twitter, and I saw this post of the final sequence. So obviously I clicked on it, and I got a little misty-eyed there, because really, Toy Story 3, the finale, really is just, it's not the fact that you believe these characters are going to die. It's the fact that the characters accept death, and want to do it together. And that is what gets me misty-eyed every single time. So it's a fun adventure throughout. It's got a phenomenal ending, and it's just so emotional in the finale when Andy gives up his toys to Bonnie. A lot of people say it should have ended there. I disagree. Somewhat agree, somewhat disagree. I don't know. Still, I really love Toy Story 3 and goes in the goated tier. A Bug's Life is the most... I keep saying this a lot. It's one of the most underrated Pixar movies out there because it was made in the early days of Pixar, a lot of people don't realize how freaking good it is. Yeah, A Bug's Life is really good, man. It's going in the back of great. It's going right here. It's still really good. It's got some fun, lively characters that you just enjoy hanging out with. For its time, I actually think the animation is quite great inside the movie. And the villain, is it Hopper? Yes, Hopper is a very good villain with a very good, a very good motive, and actually is quite intimidating at times. So the movie can be funny, it can be charming, it has some good emotions in there, good animation, and a great villain. This is like the one Pixar movie that, like, I am not going to turn on all that often, but when I decide to turn it on, I'm like, this is actually really good, and not a lot of people talk about it. Unlike that movie Ants from DreamWorks. Ants. Ugh, I hate that movie. Hate Ants. But A Bug's Life, I think, is a much better version of that, and it's a lot more effective than Ants. All right, hot take time. Hot take time. Got real hot in here. Actually, these next three are the final Toy Story movies. Like I said, I'm gonna have a Toy Story ranking coming up soon, so let's just do an order. I'll do Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, and then Lightyear. Toy Story 1 fairly easily is going to be at the very top of this tier. It's my favorite Pixar movie, and that'll never change. I love the relationship between Woody and Buzz. They have such great chemistry as they fight with each other throughout the entire film, but it's a film about becoming friends, finding friendship that is just that just works on an emotional level for me. But not only that, it's not the most emotional Pixar film. It's not the film that'll make me sob my eyes out, but it's a film that is like 90 minutes of just pure awesome fun. It is hilarious. You got the stuff with Sid that is just this iconic, creepy villain. Some horror elements in this movie that are just awesome. The iconic toys talking to Sid stuff that scarred him for life, definitely, which is awesome. Just so many iconic moments. The animation is great for its time. The relationships, just so many lines, the quotable lines. I don't believe that man ever went to medical school. It's just awesome throughout. And every time I watch this movie, and I kid you not, I watch it 2 or 3 times a year. I've watched it probably 5 times since my old channel when I ranked the Pixar movies. I love Toy Story. It's one of the most rewatchable animated films of all time. It goes in the goated tier, and it ain't coming down, baby. I got one viewer in the chat, just to let you know, if you got any questions for me, I will also be taking questions tonight. All right, Toy Story 2, and this is where it gets hot. It's going at the top of the good tier, okay? Common misconception when I'm hanging out with my friends and talking to them. I don't hate Toy Story 2. When I say it's not my favorite Toy Story movie and it's one of my least favorite Toy Story movies, when I say that, a lot of people are like, oh, he hates Toy Story 2. I don't hate Toy Story 2 at all. I think it does a lot of things great, right? I think the stuff with Jessie and Bullseye is really good. Very emotional stuff inside of this movie. Obviously, that is kind of capped off in the latest film. That was creepy. I just heard someone screaming. Oh, well, if I die, at least I'm going to have it live, right? A serial killer in my house. I'm live, baby. I don't think there's a serial killer in my house. Anyways, Toy Story 2. Like, the stuff with Jessie kind of comes to a close in Toy Story 5. That is still very effective for me. So all that emotion really works. Stinky Pete, great villain. Awesome scenes. Woody getting clean scene is one of the most satisfying scenes in all of cinema. So there is plenty of great stuff in this movie. I think for me, Toy Story 2 is the most unrewatchable film. Actually, probably Toy Story 5. But before Toy Story 5, this is a movie that I never wanted to rewatch. And that is because growing up, I always wanted to watch the first one. My brother always wanted to watch the second one. So we always watched the second one. So I've probably seen this one over and over and over again. And I got definitely tired of rewatching the movie. And so every time I watch it, I'm just reminded of having to watch it for the 50th time. Now, like I said, I don't dislike this movie. It still is really effective for me. But like, as a film, like, it is flawed. I think separating the characters, while there is some really fun moments in here, right? The stuff with Buzz and Zurg is great. But separating Buzz and Woody in the second film makes it not rewatchable at all, because I rewatched the first Toy Story because I have so much fun hanging out with these characters. I rewatched the second Toy Story for the emotions, and I just kind of wish we had more stuff with Woody and Buzz that makes the first film so good. So that's like my big issue with Toy Story 2, is that it just separates the characters, and it's very unfortunate that they do. We got Lightyear. I'll talk about it, and then I'll decide where I'm going to put it. I think it's a fun adventure. I do. It was kind of like an uproar at the time because there were two gay characters in the movie, and people were like, oh my gosh, gay in Pixar. I am a Christian, obviously, so I don't stand for that. I'm not going to get into the politics of it all or the deep dive into it, but just my belief, I don't stand for that. It's a sin. So, like, when this movie first came out, I didn't see it in theaters because, like, now, personally, in my opinion, I, like, it's something so prominent now in today's world that it's obviously going to be in literally every, like, it's going to be in so much stuff. Like, there's going to be a lot of things that if you don't want to watch anything with any sense of pride in it, there's not going to be a whole lot you can watch. And so, like, I'm not really affected by it. Like, I know it's a sin. I know I don't stand for it, but watching Lightyear is not going to make me gay, okay? But it's kind of an uproar, so I waited till it released on Disney Plus to watch it, and I think it's just a fun adventure. I get that a lot of people were frustrated that it's not, like, it doesn't feel like the movie that Andy would have watched when it when it released back in 96, 95, somewhere around there. It's not the movie, but that's okay because I had such a fun time. I think Chris Evans voices a really fun Buzz Lightyear. I think the rest of the cast is a lot of fun. The cat alarm clock is actually quite funny. And I actually didn't hate the Zurg twist in this movie like a lot of people did. I did not hate that in the slightest. There's not a lot of things I disliked about this movie. I just sat back and I watched a Buzz Lightyear adventure and I had fun. Okay. So it doesn't hit like the emotional levels that Toy Story 2 does. I'm probably going to fit it right here. But yeah, I like Lightyear. My dog is shaking. He's having a bad dream. I got to go wake him up real quick. Hey, buddy. What's up? What's up? Don't be scared. Don't be scared out here. Come here. Hey, boy. Hi, Lizzie. You're okay. You're okay. Okay. I know. No, let go of my hand. I'm coming, Lizzie. Oh, yes, get that Billy. Sorry. I love my dogs. So sue me. Yes, I love you. Goofy dog. What's next? Coco, 4th edition and goated. I'll put it right here. It's top 3 Pixar. Well, it's top 5 Pixar, let's say that. this was a film, like, obviously, like I said, I'm a Christian. I was raised in, like, a very religious household. So, naturally, a film about the land of the dead didn't really go over well. So, I was not allowed to watch it. This released in 2017. When it released on Netflix a year or so later, I remember I was at a friend's house and we turned it on and I just wasn't into it. Oh man, I was wrong. When I rewatched it a couple years ago and then the 3 more times after that, dude, Coco is phenomenal, man. Coco is phenomenal. It is a goated Pixar movie. The first hour or so is just a fun adventure inside the land of the dead. It's nothing like too special. It's like, yeah, it's fun. Then you enter the second hour and it just grabs your heart, rips it out, and smushes it. It is devastating. It is so emotional on a different level than any of these movies could do. And yes, I'd say I cried more than I did with Onward. And yeah, I sobbed my eyes out while watching Onward, okay? I cried my eyes out more with Coco than I did with Onward. I think Coco's just a phenomenal movie, phenomenal emotions, great animation, a story about music, the love of music, and how that saves a life, and or how it affects your life. And I firmly believe that music was a huge part in my life. It still is. Like music, I love music, right? It gets us through our worst times. And that's kind of what this movie's about. And it just impacted me on a devastating level. The twist is phenomenal. Also, Remember Me, perfect song. Great song. Mayday Parade. I'm a punk rock kid. That's what I do. But Remember Me by Mayday Parade, the cover is one of the best covers ever. So good. Goes in goated. Monsters Inc. also goes in goated. It's my second favorite Pixar movie. Again, like Monsters Inc. and Toy Story don't have like the delicate emotions that rip your heart out, like say Coco and Onward, but that really doesn't matter. This is just such a fun adventure. This world is really interesting. It starts out and it builds up this interesting and unique world that you have like but really never seen before this movie, that is just like, it's fun, it's charming. Our 2 leads in Mike Wazowski and Sully are great. John Goodman voices Sully perfectly. Who voices Mike? Who voices Mike Wazowski? Billy Crystal, that's right. Who else did Billy Crystal? He's in plenty of other things, right? Okay, yeah. When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride. He's in those. All right. But they have such a fun relationship that it's super hard not to enjoy just hanging out with them in general from the very beginning of the film onward. And what am I talking about when I say it doesn't have as big of emotions as the other films? I just remembered the stuff with Boo. Yeah, Boo. And by the time you enter the end of the film, it just rips your heart out. Again, I'm not a father. It kind of tackles fatherhood, but it still really, really works for me. Kind of rips your heart out, has a devastating ending, and, you know, just about like letting go. And just like the time you enter the finale, it just rips your heart out. The rest of the movie has a really fun adventure. You love hanging out with these characters. The finale of the movie is really emotional. I can't believe, like I just said, it's not as emotional as Coco or Onward. I'd say Toy Story doesn't have the emotions as, you know, say any of these other movies. I just have more fun watching Toy Story. And plus, even though like I cried during Monsters Inc., but not as much as I did Coco or Onward, I'd still rather check out Monsters Inc. Because I just think the adventure is a lot more fun than those other movies. All right. We got 2 of the weaker Pixar movies. The Good Dinosaur is why the... See, there's one scene in this movie that is great, which is why I want to put it in bad, that every time like I hear anybody talk about this movie, it's that scene. But the rest of the movie sucks, and I've watched it once, and I will never watch it again. The Good Dinosaur, absolute garbage, besides the one scene where his father dies, is bad. I don't even really have anything to say about it. The animation looks bland. There's no relationship here. It's just a goofy movie that feels like it's from a different production studio that, excuse me, thought someone was calling again. It definitely feels like it's from a different production studio than Pixar. Like it feels like it's cheaper. It's like not nearly as fun as the other movies. In fact, I'd go as far to say it's not fun at all. It's absolute garbage. Besides that one scene, I watched it once, like when it first came out. I'll never watch it again. I hated it so bad. So absolute garbage. I don't even know why I have a bad tier. Can I delete this? Okay. I'll just delete bad because I don't have a single bad movie. I'll just be clear and say that. But Elemental is going to go in the bottom of the meh tier. I think a lot of things it does is find the romance and relationship between our lead two characters is fine. I do like the animation and the world building is great. Some aspects of the adventure is fun. This is just a movie that I don't feel like is for a younger audience in the slightest. You watch any Pixar movie and it can be for older audiences and younger audiences. And like 30 minutes of this movie when it first came out, which is the only time I watched it, my brother completely checked out. And then like I just didn't have as much fun with it as I did other Pixar movies. And I don't feel like a lot of kids had fun with this movie at all because it's about romance and it's about diversity and like different, like the movie's kind of about interracial love, I'd say, in a way. And it's just like, it's not the themes that work for kids. It's just themes that are like completely okay. And like I was older when it came out. I was thinking like that was 3 years ago. So I was like, okay, it's fine. But no, like it's meh. It's just meh. It's my second least favorite Pixar movie. Now, like I don't like meh being so close to absolute garbage, which is why I kind of wish I didn't delete the bad, because this movie is like goated compared to The Good Dinosaur. Like these 3 stars, right? This 1 star. Just want to be clear here. Something keeps going off on my phone, I thought. Sharon Swan, is this another Instagram scammer that I get to mess with a little bit? Don't you just love those, like the scammers on Instagram? They just your favorite. Elio. This was the Pixar film released last year. I think the only Pixar film released last year, right? Unless I'm tripping. Yeah, the only Pixar film released last year. And I think it's quite good. I'll figure out where to put it here in a few minutes. Personally, for me, I think the story about the aliens invading the areas, it's not that good. Like, okay, I wasn't invested in the story really at all. What really works for me is the emotions. Yet again, this movie did make me cry because it's about finding your place on Earth. And it's very, 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 very effective about finding your place, finding somewhere you belong. Do you belong? Are you worth, is it worth living? That's the kind of deep themes that are explored in Elio, and every sequence where it explores those themes. Last year, at that time, I wasn't in the best place, right? Like, it's the perfect movie that came out at the perfect time for me that just managed to make me cry because it's a Pixar movie. It still has that Pixar magic. Now, I will say the stuff with the aliens and the invasion and fighting them and the spaceships, like, I didn't care about any of that, right? Like, if it didn't have those emotions about fitting in and belonging, this would be probably absolute garbage. But because it does have those emotions, it even pops up above meh and gets in the good tier. My mother's calling me for the second time. Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
I was trying to call you a couple times.
I know I'm streaming right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, call me before, or I'll text you before I go to bed.
All right. How far are you away from home?
About 3 hours. 3-4 hours.
Oh, so you'll be home before noon?
Probably not, but because I got to go out and get my car.
My mom and dad are on their way back from Florida, and they're stopping for the night. So we were just talking for a minute. Yeah, so Elio, I think I'm going to put... What am I doing here? Lightyear's better than Cars 3. Yeah, that I'll do here. Put Elio about right here. Yeah, why not? This might be the tier with the most movies in the top list, because Inside Out 2 is another goated movie. It's going at the bottom of goated, but it's still a very goated movie. I adore Inside Out 2. I saw it 3 times in the theaters. I saw it once when it first came out. Then I went on a mission trip during my senior year. We all went to see it again. It was quite funny because my youth pastor, or my pastor, I call him pastor because like he's the pastor. I've been talking about this entire video. My pastor wanted to sleep during the movie, and we were just talking about this the other day, and we went to a theater with no reclining seats, and so we didn't get any sleep. But I saw it again with some family members, third time, and it hits every time. It's a movie about being inside of a little girl. Gosh darn it! Pause. Wow. Not inside a little girl, inside the brain of a little girl. Is that even better or is that worse? I don't know. It's hard to talk about, okay? It's hard to talk about. But it's about capturing the emotions of being a teenager. And it's effective. It doesn't have any major stakes, but it's about peer pressure. And it's about fitting in, and it's about the anxieties you have as a teen trying to fit in and not trying to be weird. And it's so relatable because I think even like me, I have had many times in my life where I'm exactly like her. I have the anxieties of fitting in, and it just captures that feeling so unbelievably perfectly. Anxiety is represented great in here, and even though the other new emotions are kind of a joke somewhat, they're not really, because it just captures it so perfectly. It's also highly watchable. I think it's 90 minutes. If it's not 90 minutes, it definitely feels like it. Oh yeah, 95 minutes. So it flew by the 3 times I saw it in theaters, and it just has complex, not even really complex emotions, just about the anxieties of being a teenager and how it is unbelievably effective at doing that, about putting you inside the body of a little girl, gosh darn it, and feeling what it's like to be a teenager again. Captures that perfectly. And then the representation of it in anxiety attack in the back half is phenomenal. So Inside Out 2, goated for real. Finding Dory. Now, I didn't watch this one until Inside Out 2 came out, and I did that first tier list on my old channel because I just heard it was the exact same and kind of boring. Rufus, stop licking the couch, you weirdo. You weirdo. Who's a good boy? Yes, put that smile on your adorable face. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. You're a good boy. Anyways, Finding Dory, I actually had a great time with. It's not as near as good or complex as the first Finding movie, but it has those emotions with Dory and her family that I think are really effective. And I think the adventure here is a lot of fun. The set pieces in this movie are a lot more fun than the first Finding Nemo movie. It's genuinely quite hilarious. The animation is phenomenal. You got some great characters like the whale in here that is just genuinely hilarious. So I just had such a good time watching this movie. And while it doesn't have as many complex emotions as the first Finding Nemo did, it still has emotions. Still has those complex emotions at times. So it's great. I'll probably put it here. I'll put it here. I really have fun with Finding Dory. Then we got Cars, another very, very great movie. I might put it here. I think I'm going to put Cars here. What this movie does so well is, I actually probably should go on Letterboxd for this one. This is one of those movies okay, do a security check. Go ahead. Dang. Okay. What did I say in my review? Okay, now I'm kind of remembering what it is, because I think Cars, the first movie, isn't as memorable as Cars 2 or Cars 3, but I do think, like, every time I watch it, it's very solid as a race film. It captures the racing sequences in a very good like a very good light. It can be thrilling at times. The racing sequences are very effective. And then the character study of Lightning McQueen is very good. But more importantly, the thing that sticks out the most is the character study of Doc Hudson, that I think is like very well done in here. And still, like, the combined with the character study of Lightning McQueen about being this cocky guy, knocked down to earth a little bit, finding this excellent friend group with characters that you love. Like, it's a very effective character study in a sports movie. So Cars, very effective, even though, like I said, I remember things about 3 and 2 a lot more than I remember them about the first Cars. Because I didn't really grow up on the first Cars. I grew up on Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Monsters, Inc. Those are the 3 that I rewatched over and over again. Then we got Ratatouille. We're back to the hot takes, baby. It is meh, but it is at the top of the meh tier. I know, okay? I know, all right? This one, like, I have fun with this stuff, with Ratatouille, cooking with, what's his name? Ratatouille. Alfredo, that's his name. I have fun with that stuff. However, this is a movie that, like, despite all the fun stuff it has and some of the emotions that do work in the back half of the movie, I definitely feel like the runtime, which is a 2-hour runtime, definitely takes its toll. And it's another movie where the third act just kind of loses me a little bit, quite like WALL-E, where the third act, like, I'm not super into it as I was with the rest of the movie. So Ratatouille goes in the meh tier. Plus, it's not as, like, memorable. Like, I remember everything about WALL-E. I remember Hopper's Elemental. I don't really remember a whole lot about Ratatouille. And I've seen it once. Like, I've only ever seen it once. I never grew up with this movie. So I'm going to put it in meh. Again, maybe if I ever rewatch these two, like, in the near future, they might go up. Like, it was 2 years ago when I watched them, right? But still. Then we got MU, Monsters University. It's better. Put it here. I'll keep Monsters. Well, no, I'm going to put it at the top of meh, I think, because I just love all these characters to death. There's a lot of fun things in Monsters University. Obviously, hanging out with Sully and hanging out with Mike, even though they're kind of separated through the beginning of the movie, once they're together, they are a lot of fun. Like, you just love that relationship there. And the other characters, Koopa Trappa, I think is what it's called, their fraternity, I think, like, they are a whole lot of fun. The overall, like, mission here, or the game that they play, is a whole lot of fun. The animation is great. It's consistently funny. So, like, for the majority of this movie, despite, like, a rocky start with having Sully and Mike separated, is a lot of fun. It's another one of these movies like Ratatouille or Soul or WALL-E or Elemental that by the time we enter the third act, I'm just like, oh, okay. The stuff at the camp does not work for me at all. Like, it's just completely loses me from the fun stuff at Monsters University. And that's because, like, I feel like we have a very satisfying, very good ending. And then the movie keeps on going, and then the movie keeps on going. And it's like, oh, we still have another half hour left when we had a satisfying ending already. So, MU, Monsters University, is meh. Our final Pixar movie, and we will have ranked 31. Oh, goodness, no. Brave is not absolute garbage. I got to get it out of here as fast as possible. Brave is good. I'll figure out where I'm going to put it here in a minute. It's one of those movies, again, that it came out at the perfect time for me, right? It's a movie that came out, and, like, when I rewatched it, it was at the time where, you know, I wasn't getting along with my mother because I was a rebellious teen and other things as well. But it came out at that perfect time for me that the emotions all hit. I don't think the adventure here about, like, her mom turning into a bear and the Scottish stuff. That's not the most compelling for me. But the stuff with her mom and getting along and, you know, like some certain sequences that are just incredibly emotional, again, hit me and still hit me on an emotional level, even though a good chunk of the story isn't as fun as the other. So Brave, like, it's a movie that a lot of people hate. I don't hate it all. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to put it right here. The emotions really work. I think right now I'd rather rewatch any of these over Brave, but still, emotions really worked. So here's my final ranking of all the Pixar films. Let's do it. The Good Dinosaur has one good scene. The rest of it's boring. Elemental has some fun things, but don't think the themes really work. Hoppers has some fun, crazy moments, but does too much. Soul, I don't remember much about. Wall-E was much better as a robot romance. Stuff in the third act, not as good. Ratatouille, much better as a rat cooking food. Stuff in the third act, not as good. Monsters University, fun as a Monsters University or as a Monsters, Inc. college movie. Not as good in the third act. Toy Story 5, really fun sequences and emotional sequences, but kind of lost some magic. Cars 2, too much hate. Fun, shoot, I lost his name. What is his Mater? Oh my gosh. Just lost Mater's name. What is wrong with me? Fun Mater spy movie. Cars 3. Could have been much more. Still fun adventure. Brave. Very emotional. Not as fun adventure. Lightyear. Very fun adventure. Turning Red. Very emotional. Some sequences don't work for me. Elio. Don't really care about the story. Very, very emotional. Toy Story 2. Very good. Very great emotions. Okay, Rufus. Not as emotional for me. A Bug's Life. Great villain, great animation. Not as rewatchable, but very underrated. Inside Out, most emotional Pixar movie. Up, emotional 10 minutes, fun adventure the rest of it. Cars, good sports movie character study. Finding Dory, very fun adventure. Toy Story 4, great ending to Woody's character. Luca, fun adventure about friendship. The Incredibles, great superhero movie. The Incredibles 2, even better superhero movie. Finding Nemo, great adventure about fatherhood or parenthood, really. Inside Out 2 perfectly captures perfectly captures the emotions of being a teenager. Onward, great brotherly love, makes me cry like a baby. Coco makes me cry like a baby. Great adventure and theme about music. Toy Story 3, great ending to the trilogy. Monsters, Inc., great adventure, great finale. And then Toy Story, the best animated film of all time. That was my ranking of the 31 Pixar movies. Hour 28 in, minus like 15 minutes because I had to take a dump. All right. If you guys watch live, thank you so much. If you guys are watching in the future, thank you guys for clicking on this video. I'm still going to have that Toy Story ranking. With that said, subscribe.